Alright guys, let's create this simple bento design using React.js and Tailwind CSS. So let's go back to our VS Code and start creating. As you can see, I've already created a React app using Vite and also installed Tailwind CSS for our styling. Now I've also added some container property along with some colors which we will need in designing that UI. So let's go back to our app.jsx. Now what we have to do is create this navbar. So what I generally do is under the src tag, I create a folder and name it as components. Now within this component folder, I can create files and name it as navbar.jsx. Type here rafc, which will create a navbar.jsx component, and now we have to start designing it. So in the left side, you can see there is a logo, and in the right side, there are nav links. And also you can see that there is some spacing in top and bottom along with some spacing in right and left. So to give spacing in top and bottom, we can simply come here and write class name, let's say py of 5. As we have predefined our container properties, we can simply come here and type nav tag and give a class name of, let's say, container. Now I will create the left side of the nav. So let's name it as left side, create a div. I need the image and I have to import the image from our public folder. So import logo from /logo.svg and simply replace this inverted commas with curly braces and type here logo. If we go back, now this will not be visible because I have to come back to my app.jsx file and import my navbar component. So type here navbar, it will automatically import it. Now if I save this and go back, now as you can see, our logo is visible. Now let's create the right side of the navbar component. So create another div and let's name it as right side. And within this div, I can create two anchor tags and type here work and about. Now this div will have a class name of flex, justify between items center. Now if I go back, as you can see, it's visible but it's not aligned properly. So to fix that, come back to our VS Code, select these two divs, cut it and create another div and give a class name of flex, justify between items center, and then within this div paste the left side and the right side of the navbar. And if we save this and go back, as you can see, it's aligned properly, but we need to give some spacing between work and about. So let's fix that. So come back here and give a gap property of, let's say, 5. And if you see, as you can see, there is some gapping in between both of them. Now if we go back to our design, you can see there is a padding right in both of our nav links. So come back to our anchor tag, select it and give a class name of, let's say, PR of 32, I guess will work. If we go back, as you can see, there is some spacing in right side of both the nav links. So now we have to create the hover property. So let's say it has a text slate 600 as initial color, and when we hover, it will have a text color of slate, let's say 900, and have a duration of, let's say, 75. If I save this and go back, it changes its colors to. Now we have created the desktop version of our navbar. Now let's create the mobile version. So to do that, we have to hide this whenever our screen size is below 768 pixels. So come back to our VS Code and in the right side div, we can say hidden. It will stay hidden, but in MD screen or above, it will have a class property of flex. So if we go back and inspect it, now if the screen size is below 768, it will hide itself, and if the screen size is above 768, it will show. Alright, now come back to here, create another div, and it will be our mobile navbar. So mobile navbar, and this div will have a class name of MD hidden. So it will hide itself whenever the screen is above 768 pixels. Now we can add hamburger icons here. Now to add hamburger icons, we have to import it from React icons. So come to our Chrome page and write React icons. Go to the second link, copy it, come to our VS Code in the new terminal, paste it. Make sure you are in the file where you are creating the React app. Paste it and let it install. Now it has installed, and go back to our original terminal. Come back to our Chrome page. Click the first link again. Now here in the search, you can type hamburger. Now let's use this hamburger icon. Copy this. Come to the top section. Paste it. And we need this hamburger icon, so copy this, and within this mobile navbar div, paste it. Now we also need a closing icon, so now let's use this. Copy this, come back again to the top part of our page and paste it, and copy this and also paste it here. Now we have to conditionally render these two icons. So to do that, we have to create states. So come back here and type const, let's say menu. You can give any name, and we have to also create setter function, that is set menu, and use state. Now this will import use state in the top section and initialize it with false. Now you can give any name here, so no need to worry. And we also have to create a function which will help in toggling that icon. So let's give the name as handle menu. Now it's an arrow function, so keep the syntax correct. And within this function, we have to write set menu to not menu. Now what this will do is it will change the state of the icons to the previous one. Now copy this handle menu, come back here on the div, write on click and paste the handle click menu. Now we have to conditionally render these two icons. Now what we can do is within our curly braces we can write if menu is clicked, then show me this close icon, or show me this hamburger icon. Control X and paste it here. Now if I save this and go back to the screen, we can see whenever the screen size is below 768 pixel and I click on the hamburger icon, it changes its icon to close. Now let's create the nav links for our mobile navbar. So to do that, come back here and create a div, and simply you can copy paste this. Alright, give a class property of flex call, give a gap of let's say 5, and give a py of let's say 52 and a padding of 5. Now we have to conditionally render this div too. So to do that, we can simply cut this, and within our curly braces we can similarly write if menu is clicked, then show me this div, otherwise show me nothing. So if I go back, whenever I click my hamburger icon, this work and about will show, otherwise it will not show. Now in this div we have to add a property called absolute and make this main div as a relative. Now what this will do is it will help us to change this div's position with respect to the main div. So type here absolute, then top 0, right 0. Now if I go back and if I click, as you can see, it's visible. Alright, let's give a shadow of MD. Now if I click, as you can see, there is a subtle shadow around this work and about naveling. Let's make the height as screen. Now what this will do is it will take the height of the screen, and as you can see, our navbar is looking like this. So if I close this, it will not be visible. If I click over it, it will be visible. Alright, now our navbar is done. Close this. Now let's create our hero section. So to do that, come back to our component folder and create another file called hero.jsx. Again type here rafc, it will create a hero component and give a padding top and bottom of let's say 5. And also we have to wrap our contents around our container. So container. Alright, now what I can do is create the first section of our hero section. Give here a div. Alright, now under this div I can write another div and give h1 of superb. and create a p tag and simply copy this paragraph here. Alright, now if I go back, it's not visible. Why? Because I have to import our hero section in our app.jsx. So hero, it will automatically import. If I go back, as you can see, it's visible. Now let's increase the font size of this superb. So to do that, come back to our h1 tag and type class name, font, let's say 9XL, text, let's say slate 900, and font of medium. Now let's do one thing, give a grid property here, grid, and let's divide our grid to calls of, let's say 12. Alright, and give this div a class name and give a call span of, let's say 8. Alright, and give a flex property of flex, justify between items baseline. Now if I go back, as you can see, it's visible. What I can do is, to match this design, I can reduce the width of this paragraph like this to, let's say 30%. Alright, I've reduced its width to 25%. Now as you can see, it's similar. Now what we can do is start creating our next section. But before that, let me make this responsive. So now what I can do here is, I can say that in MD screen, this grid will be visible. Otherwise, it will stay as it's like. And in small screen or above, I can say this will have a call span of 8. Now if I go back and check, alright, now let's change this to MD as well. Make this flex property visible only in LG screen. Alright, as you can see, it's becoming responsive. Now what I can do is, in LG screen, the width of this paragraph tag will be 25, but whenever the screen size is smaller than LG, it will be with full. Now it will be text center, but whenever it's in LG, it will be text left. Alright, if I go back and if I reduce this, as you can see, it's becoming center. Now if I increase the size, as you can see, it's becoming text left. Alright, let's come back here and also add similar property to this. In medium screen or above, the text will be 9XL, but in smaller screen, it will be text of, let's say 4XL, and it will be text center, but in medium screen or above, it will be text left. Alright, now if I inspect this and let's check. Now if I hit Ctrl S and go back, as you can see, it's completely responsive. Now I have changed some class properties here, like in MD screen size, the text will be 9XL. The initial text size will be text 6XL and text will be center, but in LG screen, it will be text left and margin bottom of 4. And in LG screen, the margin bottom will be 0. Now what I can do is start creating the next section. So close this div, create another div, and this is our second section. Alright, similar to the first div, I can simply come here and type grid and divide this grid as grid calls 12. Now what I can do is create our first div. Now it will hold our hero image. So to import our hero image, I can simply go and type here import, and I can simply type here hero img.png. If I save it and replace this inverted commas with curly braces and simply type here hero image, if I go back, it will be visible. Alright, now alright, I have changed our image to .svg file, as it will be smaller in size and it will be web friendly. So what I can do is give this div a class name of, let's say, call span of 8. Alright, if I come back, as you can see, it's taking the size. What I can do is give a rounded property of, let's say, 3xl, and let's do a overflow hidden. If I come back, as you can see, it's visible. Alright, now let's do one thing. Give a padding of, let's say, 2. Now it will bring this down a little bit. Now let's create the right side. So to do that, come back here and type your div, and again give a call span of 4, as it has taken 8. The remaining is 4. So here we can create two divs and give a class name and height of, let's say, half, and divide this right side div as flex, and also give this right side div a flex property and make it flex call, and give a gap of, let's say, 5. Alright, now come back to this div and type here image tag. Now I have to make this clock and this, so I have to import the clock svg from our public folder. So import clock from /clock.svg, and also I have to import the face. So duplicate it, change it to face, and change the title to face as well. Alright, if I save this, give some spacing here, and replace this with curly braces again, and right here clock. If I go back, as you can see, it's visible. Now what I can do is give a bg of box 1. Alright, as you can see, the bg is visible. Give a padding of, let's say, 5. Alright, give a rounded 3xl property. Okay, now what I can do is come to the main div and type your gap of, let's say, 5. Alright, now as you can see, there is a spacing between these two divs. Now just copy this tag, and here I can write p tag and simply paste it. Control S. If I go back, as you can see, it's visible. Now give a flex property here, flex call, justify between. If I go back, it will increase the size, but we can reduce it by giving a class name and width of, let's say, 40 pixel. Now as you can see, it's done, but we have to create a similar div with blue color. So just simply copy this, Control C, Control V, and replace this box 1 with box 2. Now what are these colors? I have already predefined these colors in my tailwind.config file here, so I can use it wherever I like. So now let's go back and change this to face, and we have to also change our p tag. So copy this and paste this. Alright, now as you can see, we have created the design, but we have to make this responsive. So to do that, we can simply come here and say the grid will only happen in large screen and above. Alright, now this will only take space in large screen or above, this as well. So if I go back and inspect it, whenever the screen size is below LG, it will look like this. What I can do is, here in this div, I can simply type MB of, let's say, 4, and in large screen, let's make this MB 0. Now as you can see, there is a gap in between. Let's increase the gap a little more, let's say 6. Alright, as you can see, there is a gap. Now what I can do is, now as you can see, we have created the design. Alright, now let's little bit tweak this. So to do that, I can simply write this div will be now I can simply make this mdlg and this to lg, and if I change this, as you can see, it's fully responsive. Our navbar is also working. Alright, we have now, as you can see, my mobile navbar is not visible. So to fix that, what I did is given a class name of z-index, given a class property of z-index 50 to my menu element along with absolute, and made it top 7 right 8. Now if I go back, inspect it, now as you can see, it's visible. Alright, we have completed the design, and thank you for watching this video, and see you again in the next one. So till then, peace.